Hello and welcome to the Women Veterans Alliance, our Wednesday webinar. I am Melissa Washington. I'm the CEO and founder of Women Veterans Alliance. And if you haven't heard of our organization, we connect women veterans with each other in resources, and we do that through our online and in-person networking and events. And this is one of the ways that we connect women veterans is through our Wednesday webinar series. If you haven't seen, we have, in honor of Women Veterans Recognition Day, which is June 12th, we have 50% off items in our store, so it's a great opportunity to get some items from our store. Also, if you haven't connected with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, as this webinar and all of our previous webinars are also available for you to watch at your leisure. If you haven't been to our site, which you had to have been to our site in order to register for this webinar, we also do provide business and career coaching. We have a Women Veterans Business Directory, resources, allies directory. Also, too, we have a list of all the different women veterans memorials and monuments throughout the U.S. And coming up next week, we have Christina, who's talking about who's writing your story. And then we have 3 webinars next month in June, Leading with Purpose. The other one is going to be the VA Women's Health Re-Engagement Training, which if you don't know about VA Women's Health and the different benefits, I highly recommend attending that. And then on the 21st, we have How to Navigate Conflict in a Hostile Work Environment. And with that, and then again, as I mentioned, Women Veterans Recognition Day is on the 12th. Here in the greater Sacramento area where I'm at, we have 2 events. We have June 15th, which is our summer soiree. We're celebrating military women. And then on June 17th is our 5th annual fun run. And this year we are adding a parade, and all those proceeds benefit Women Veterans Giving, which is our nonprofit. September 8th through the 10th is our Women Veterans Unconference, which takes place in Las Vegas. It's our 7th one. Come on out again, September 8th through the 10th at the Tropicana. Also, too, earlier this year, we launched veteran.events, where if you are interested in a speaker that's a veteran, or you are a veteran and you are a speaker, you can have your information listed. This is open to men and women that are veterans. Also, too, we have a calendar of all different events nationwide, and we also have a page specifically for women veteran conferences. So, without further ado, I am going to introduce you all to Yvonne Rea, has worked with Pain Free for Life beta testing research, where microcurrent protocols are developed, erasing pain, holistic centers where she currently assists in training interns, and is a nutritional director, ever seeking plant compounds that reduce inflammation and pain so rebuilds of tissue can occur. Most recently, she became a team member at Theta Wellness Brain Health Center in Sacramento. She also regularly volunteers to work with Sacramento area practitioners to broaden her scope of knowledge and research of all pain, physical, emotional, and theory of inflaming. And hopefully I said it. No, and I don't know if I said that right, but you can correct me when we get on. On a regular basis, she travels and presents the impact biofeedback, microcurrent, and nutrition can provide to health professionals and advocates, and even those looking for a second opinion for natural, alternative, at-home pain care. During her 15+ years of naval service, Yvonne found a love for the sciences after assisting in numerous forensic identification cases, also known as autopsies, and has since logged in thousands of schooling, research, and internship hours covering inflammation, pain, non-healing wounds, and nutritional science, all as it relates to disease and regeneration of tissue, occupied with electrocatacols, and again, you probably have to say that word, what that is, when you get on, using devices that NASA uses, such as biofeedback, microcurrent, PEMF, solar, and more. After opening her business For Better U2 Wellness over a decade ago, she partnered with the Academy of Applied Electrophysiology to create awareness for these technologies. These technologies are mostly available only to the elite, professional athletes, or those with the right insurance. Her goal, making the unknown known, where 85% notice of significant difference in under 3 sessions. So without further ado, because I don't want to mess up any other of these big words, Yvonne, I'm going to take it over and let you have it there.
Thank you so very much. Let me just reach for my screen. There we go. Hi, my name is Yvonne. And, like she said, former military, lots of what I'm doing there. But the reason why I want to bring this information to so many of you is because, first of all, I'm from the medical community. And the things that I'm going to show you, I would have never guessed. As a matter of fact, when I was working at some of the Navy's largest hospitals, Balboa, Portsmouth, Oakland Naval Hospital, I truly believe that if any of this were real, that we would be doing it, not understanding that we are in a closed system with conventional medicine. So it's not that these alternative therapies don't work. It's just that, our largest medical system that typically gets paid for either by our insurance or for those of us that, served, um, it gets paid for by them, and that's not the choice that they're making for us. So yeah, I had to look outside of the box because I could not resolve my own health challenges. As a matter of fact, I just, I kept getting sicker, and they were adding on yet another um, pharmaceutical. So thank you, Melissa. She pretty much just touched on what some of this says. This is my business is called For Better You Too Wellness, and we are a collaborative. And that's the part that I'm mostly excited about because you've heard the saying, we are not what we are not as smart as the one as we are as all. And I know I just messed that up. Uh, but I think you understand. I don't have to know it all, but if I know who to go to. And these people right here in this picture, I work with very, very closely, and several others, and you'll see them kind of at the end. And
Oh,
we all
Yvonne,
actually,
we
yeah,
can't see your screen.
you cannot.
No,
What do I need to do?
just click on the share screen on the Zoom on the green button.
Um,
It'd be in your bottom tray, the share screen.
so I see yours. I don't see where I have a tray to share screen.
So you've shared the one in Canva, right? The present, and you could see your presentation.
I can see my presentation in Canva, yes.
Okay. And then we need to go into Zoom and share. If you're already in Zoom, but you should be able to see like the share screen at the bottom. There's a bottom tray on your screen.
Yes, I see it. Thank you. Sorry about that. I thought you and I had already done that.
That's okay.
Do you see it now?
Nope, don't see it. Yep, there we go. It's coming. Okay,
Oh,
now I see yours. Yep, then go to Chrome and then click on the presentation. There you go.
excellent. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right. So anyway, these are the folks that I'm working directly with, and there's actually many more that you'll see throughout the presentation. But, the beauty is that we're coming together and we're all utilizing microcurrent. And then we have other special modalities, like I'm functional medicine. This is Nurse Hyde. Not only was she the one that introduced me to microcurrent and Dr. Hachey, but she is a cardiac nurse. We got Dr. Owen up here, Nurse Stacy, and there's just many, many more of the team. And then my very good friend here, Tammy, who is also part of the microcurrent team, and she's out in now Oklahoma. She just left us. But I want to make it clear what we do together, we help erase pain, and it doesn't matter what kind, physical or emotional. And, if you've been told, like I was, that you have to mask that pain either with, drugs, surgery, or even they sent me to psychiatry because they couldn't figure out what was wrong. I'm here to encourage you. You're going to find some hope today, okay? And what we're doing is no needles, no drugs, and we're teaching others also. So if this is not in your area, and we'll talk about that, let's talk, because you're going to help bring hope to your area, okay? We've been told, from the medical community, we are chemical beings. Well, we're also spiritual and emotional. And these are some of the ways that we can heal our body. We are also, though, and I had not heard this, or it was not, it wasn't impressed upon. We're also electrical, magnetic, sound and light. It's called biophotons. And so sometimes I have found out when these other modalities, mostly the chemical, which is what we're so accustomed to, is not working, let's look someplace else. So again, most of the available choices that I've been offered, as well as you, that's available is chemicals, pills, or surgeries. And many of you have been down that road like me. If they could not locate something, basically they sent me to pain management and to psychiatry, and essentially saying, look, the chemicals and the surgery don't fix it, so it must be in your head. Actually, what some people don't even realize is these tools that they're using, they were not designed to resolve the root cause. And how many times have you heard, well, we don't know why this is happening, but here's something for the symptom. I wanted to let you know one of their tools is the physician's desk reference. And there's over 250,000 prescriptions in there. And outside of antibiotics, none of them are designed to cure. They are designed for symptom relief. And we know what symptom relief looks like, right? We're just really masking the root cause. And of course, not only does it numb the problem, it slowly does begin to impact our organs. Dr. Hachey, one of my mentors, said, it allows the body to just slowly die in peace. That's pretty tough. And then, of course, there's the all-invasive way of surgery. Well, what if some of these things, some of the pain issues that you are experiencing could be dealt with in another way? If you were told, like I was, nothing else could be done, and I know that this is a killer, it's talk about a hope stealer. There are tribes that when a member has been discommunicated from the tribe, they literally will die within about 3 to 7 days. They walk out, and a lot of it is, they state, is about the mental attitude of lost hope. That's profound to me. I'm just here to challenge, let's that doesn't have to be your reality. It's no longer my reality. And what I'm going to show you, what we're doing here in the Sacramento area, we're trying to also, maybe put together elsewhere. And there are many others of us that are working, but maybe not together. And we know, you've all heard, the body was designed to heal itself, right? Well, if that's the case, why isn't it healing? Well, I mentioned, one, because we're masking. The relief tools that we are using can be anywhere from the surgical to the, to the chemical, even the natural ways. And these are some of the things I was doing. I got a little something here. I was having a little anxiety before presenting today. I was wearing my little ear clips on alpha because my anxiety was starting to raise. So these are still natural, obviously alcohol, oil, CBD, but they are, for the most part, masking something. You want to look at for something that will actually give the tissue a chance to resolve. And inflammation is, they say, for over 80% of the diseases out there and the pain. 80% inflammation is the cause. And inflammation is also the precursor to pain. So if you're having pain, there's a very likelihood that you have either inflammation at the site or it could be systemically. And so earlier I said, we could be looking at the wrong area. Well, let's take a look. If we are spiritual beings, emotional beings, and many of us, I truly believe we have looked at those avenues to resolve our pain. You know, I'm a believer. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. So spiritually, that's where I go to. But I was not able, and I was not improving in my pain. So, but we remember I said we are also electrical, we're magnetic. How many of you have worn those magnetic, bracelets that help with a number of health ailments? We're sound and we're light. The light, when you put on those, night goggles, they're actually not creating the light. The light is the biophotons in us, and we can actually heal the body utilizing any one of these ways. Now, I'm going to focus today on electrical. And the reason why is because I have seen such incredible results using the electrical of the body to help it restore, repair, actually, and then with nutrition, resolve the issue. So I really like this trailer. I think that, they can show a little bit about the electrical far better than I can. And it's only about maybe 2.5 minutes. So let me see if I can't get us started. Can you hear it okay?
Last year, the pharmaceutical industry spent $250 million on lobbying and campaign contributions and employs some 1,400 lobbyists.
You cannot go through the day without being inundated with drug ads.
We've seen scandal after scandal in pharmaceutical companies with drugs and astronomical prices.
I could walk into a drugstore and they could tell me the medicine I use, the price is double because we have no regulations.
The FDA is a rogue agency. They have no oversight.
The problem is that a lot of people have vested interests. You can sell molecules. You can sell molecules and drugs.
I think of the biochemical paradigm as something which has to be moved aside to something which is more field-driven, more electromagnetic, more connected to the real physics which describes nature.
A lot of the communication systems in the body are electrical. There are chemical messengers involved, but it's an electrical signal that just basically goes through the nervous system.
The use of electromagnetism in the past century was quackery. What we're seeing in the 21st century is some much more robust data.
By tuning to various ions and using very low energy magnetic fields, you see these wonderful effects whereby an 80-year-old's blood is basically taught to be more responsible.
Same modulation frequencies were found over and over in patients with the same type of tumor. Only tumor cells that are exposed to corresponding tumor-specific frequencies seem to be affected in their growth, while there is no impact on normal cells.
We put a very high bar there. We said 50% improvement. We achieved it. There's no drug study in anxiety that even comes close to that.
So sorry. I kind of messed that up.
That are exposed to corresponding tumor-specific frequencies seem to be affected in their growth, while there is no impact on normal cells.
We put a very high bar there. We said 50% improvement. We achieved it. There's no drug study in anxiety that even comes close to that.
We use a very small amount of electricity, microcurrent, which is millionths of an amp. And we use that in the brain to treat anxiety, insomnia, and depression. And we can also use the same current, same waveform on the body to treat pain peripherally.
All right, so I hope you got a better understanding, because I remember when I mean, we know we're electrical. You saw that little picture of the girl's hair standing up on end, right? Or if as a kid, you'd kind of scooch on the carpet and go tap your brother or your sister, and just loved getting that shock out of them, right? And of course, an EKG, what does that do? That's looking for electrical blocks from the heart to the rest of the body and back. Well, there's this microcurrent can be used for so many other things, and it's used literally worldwide. So I, recognize here in the States, it's in sports medicine, which is not typical. Most of us are not sent to sports medicine, and they're only using it there for musculoskeletal. It's, also all of the professional teams hire people that have credentials like I do, and sit on the sidelines and work with these athletes. One of my mentors, Dr. Jackson, she is the osteopath and microcurrent pain specialist for over 8 teams. And, I've learned a lot from her, but she's also opened up my eyes to show me that there is so much more that we can use these for. And I know that we're talking specifically about pain. In Canada, and I understand here in the United States now, you see this first aid kit. This is what the EMTs run with in Canada. And the microcurrent is actually in there. And then if you are familiar with Staff Sergeant Harris, just, had some incredible results with the microcurrent and the pain that was induced with his scars, the pulling, as well as some other areas. Now, and I'm going to encourage some of you, I want you to go back to the VA and start asking for microcurrent. And in a minute, we're going to talk about the different types of microcurrent, because any engineer can create a microcurrent, but you really are looking for something that can change the body, in that it helps resolve the tissue, not only stimulate the tissue. Some of us have, we're familiar probably with those TENS units that you can get at the State Fair or on Amazon, right? Here's a couple others, if you haven't, I felt oblivious. These are just some logos that I threw together so that you could see it is being talked about, but it's kind of like on page, 8 of the newspaper. Forbes magazine did something, but it was the listing was very obscure, and it was about pain management for CEOs. So let me just talk briefly. I'm going to really try to run through these. There literally are many kinds of electrostimulations. They are literally putting them in the body now. One is called the vagus nerve. They make an incision here and here, place just this tiny little bean size in the neck, and then the battery is here. It's between $20,000 and $30,000, and the battery does have to be replaced every 5 years. So I'm not talking anything invasive here, but I want you to know this technology, NASA's using it. Imagine if you are in a place that you cannot do surgeries. The actual device that I'm going to show you and that we use at the clinic is the one that NASA uses, because one of my mentors is one of the NASA trainers. So some of the kinds, and again, there are many out there, they're on different waveforms. If you go to look for one, if I could just encourage you, make sure that it has something called the sinus wave. The sinus wave is what we as humans are on, and nature, the plants. It is the size and shape of the wave coming through the body. We're on, it's actually technically called the biphasic sinusoidal or sinusoidal wave. And there are many others out there, H wave, square wave, sawtooth wave. Please look for something because you'll get better results. You will get results with those other ones, but you'll get better results when it's body friendly. Okay. So we got the TENS unit. That's been around since the 90s. I'm not going to say much. A true TENS unit technically is supposed to be prescribed. And then, like I said earlier, you can get them on Amazon or even at the state fair. Those ones, not so much. And then you have the EMS, which is likely what is in your chiropractor's office. It's a muscle stimulator. Sometimes they use it in the weight centers, and they kind of give you that feeling or the promise that you're going to get this, 6-pack of abs. They do one of two things. They either completely block the nerve signal getting to the brain. So yeah, it resolved your pain. But again, it covered your pain. It did not resolve your pain. We're not getting to the root source. What's wrong with the tissue and how do we help it heal? The other one, if it's not blocking the pain, then what it's doing, it's actually overriding the signals, the receptors. Then you have pulsed electromagnetic field, and that's that energy field that comes off of us as humans, dogs. When you go to hug somebody, sometimes you can just feel, their presence, their energy. I was reading something that says some people have an energy that literally enters the room before they do, kind of like that joke about the perfume, or his cologne entered the room 12 minutes before he did, right? Our energy can actually be so engaging that it literally, you feel the change, you feel the shift in the room. And again, that's pulsed electromagnetic field. There's good and there's bad. What's coming out of your microwave, what's coming out of our phones next to our ears, those are all on a different waveform, and they're non-healing forms. So if you have that by you constantly, you're actually going to do a couple things. But the one that is vitally important is it changes how the blood flows in the body. So while it doesn't cause cancer, when you change the blood flow in a particular area of the body, that can make an impact on what comes next. And then there are these frequency specific devices. I love these. I have learned so much from people that utilize these, but they're a very large machine. They're not practical one, for a home user. And I started out as a home user before I became a practitioner. And they use several different tools to get the job done. And it takes days to weeks to see results. Whereas a microcurrent that's on a sinus wave, a professional sinus wave, you'll see, this literally will be pain relief in minutes, not months. So right here, this is kind of what the pulsed electromagnetic field looks like. There's many types out there. There's this kind right here that you can lay on. Now, but it's not actually impacting your electrical of the body at all. So that's the biggest key difference here. Also, it does not engage in the brain because there's no biofeedback or neurofeedback. These are things you want to look for when you do have some microcurrent treatments, okay? I love the look of that one, so I wanted to share that because I remember when I was learning about pulsed electromagnetic field, my brain just couldn't, I'm very visual. So I want to share with you, this is, why I'm here, because, and I promote this particular type of microcurrent because I've seen too many results. The body, the sinus wave is what the body speaks. This microcurrent does speak the same language. So imagine, and it's not yelling at you like a TENS unit. Remember, you heard the guy in the video, it's 1,000 times less than a TENS unit. And so imagine, for those of you that have kids, you walk in, their room's a mess. You got one of two ways to get that mess cleaned up. You can walk in and you can start yelling at them in, a foreign language. They're going to scramble. They might pick up a thing or two, but they don't know exactly what to do because they don't understand you. Or you can come in calmly, speaking the language that they speak, and start having them collect their things and put them in order. This literally is the difference between the waveform and then the different types of electrostim devices. So the one that I really like is called, Avazia. They're the ones that are working with NASA. We use this at our clinics, and I'm going to show you a little bit about our community and our program so you know that this is available to you, either, if you happen to be in the Sacramento area, or if not, we can probably find you a practitioner, or, you can rent a device, or there's, purchases. As a matter of fact, when I, was mentioning that I was doing this, the company actually said, hey, let's give the veterans an offer. So towards the end, I'm going to give you a great offer should you choose to get one. So this particular device, what I really like about, besides the sinus waveform, is you now can create 4 different types of devices. So that makes it really, when at the clinic, we are offering so many things under one roof that you would typically, and when I start to go through this, many of you probably have gone to a couple of these different places, but you've got the neurofeedback through this. And the neurofeedback is that brain connection. That's where you get and provided relief from traumatic brain injury. Maybe you have PTSD, anxiety, like I did this morning, depression. There's a chip technology in here that no other device is offering. Also the biofeedback. Now that's the body's connection. So whenever we are treating, we can actually see the tissue responding. And so unlike a TENS unit, you have to keep raising the power level. Here, as the body is responding, it's actually becoming healthier. So we start to power down, power down, power down. And then you can also, that little pulsed electromagnetic field picture back here that you saw, you can actually attach one of those to this device. However, this is what makes it even more wonderful. It's very tissue specific. So if you want to work on bone, nerves, muscle, tendon, you can be tissue specific in that way. And then of course you can, if anybody knows anything about the scalar healing waves, that's a very big area that is up and coming. It's still, a lot of people are, I don't know about this, but I'm going to encourage you to look into it because it organizes the cells, quiets them down. So kind of like if you had a kindergarten class, right? And they're all running around and you want to get their attention so that they can receive your instruction. Maybe you put on some, nice soft music, right? This is kind of like what the scalar does. This is one of the many things, but it start to calm the chaos down in the body. So when you do come in to use the microcurrent, it can better receive the instruction. So the best thing about it, though, when you have pain, is it flips off the inflammation switch. Remember earlier we talked about with pain, we're either masking it or we're not addressing the inflammation. Imagine if you could just flip the switch on inflammation, whether it's systemic or area. And you got to be aware, as stated right here, inflammation is the precursor to pain. So you drop the inflammation, you'll begin to drop the pain. And this is what we do in our community. So how does microcurrent therapy actually help heal? Well, this beer that you see right here, see that nice big foam head? That's kind of like the inflammation on the tissue. So what we do first is we come in and we try to remove the inflammation or blow it off, right? So we can get to the meat of things. We want to get to the tissue. But if that foam, if that inflammation is sitting on the tissue, it's kind of like having a mattress. We take our microcurrent, we just can't get to the tissue because there's so much impedance in the way. Scar tissue actually acts very much the same way as well. So it comes in, it stimulates, it helps to retune, you're dropping the inflammation, and when you begin to drop inflammation, you can get blood flowing back through there again so that you get resolve of the tissue. Remember, in the blood is oxygen and nutrients. So I'm going to encourage you, nutrify heavily. And before you go to any one of these sessions, whether you come see us or somebody else, not everybody may have you do that, but I'm going to encourage you to do that, because if we can, and this is what it does, it can stimulate microcirculation, blood flow, and ATP. That's the little batteries in your cells up to, I've read between 400% and 500%. Okay, so some of the technology of this one is that it has this fMRSI capability. Literally no other or most top professional devices do not have this. And this is actually the one that the company is giving an offer to. So when we get to the end, if it's something you're interested, great. And it'll hook up to all those other things that I talked to you about. But it's super easy. It's just a little handheld, and you use the back plate. And like just this morning, I was kind of massaging my neck because I was having an anxiety attack, and I was just massaging it, starting to bring things down. This is a gal, this was actually my very first client. Talk about stepping into it big time. She had a double curve since 5th grade. Her name's Felicia. She couldn't carry her kids around because of this scoliosis. Well, we didn't touch the bones. What we did is relaxed and brought the inflammation down from the muscles that she had been dealing with. And then it wraps around and creates scar tissue along the rib cage. So we began to break up the scar tissue there. And you can quickly see this was actually only 2 sessions. And she felt great. Now, not everybody is, this quick. Usually when you come in, the average scoliosis might be about 4 treatments. But she definitely got her life back. As a matter of fact, we can't get her to come back to the clinic. She said, because I feel great. The other thing that you have here is if you're at all familiar with the vagus nerve, for those of you that probably have gone to some of the tapping classes that the VA offers, or that maybe your local hospital offers, we've learned about the tapping. Well, tapping creates a wave-like motion that actually puts the body into motion. Well, when we stimulate the vagus nerves and we stimulate it electrically, you get far, far greater results. And this can be anything from systemic to area inflammation. So imagine flipping the switch on inflammation for CRPS, fibromyalgia, autoimmune, anything that ends in itis, we can pretty much begin to give you relief for, resolve. This is how we treat the vagus nerve. I know some people do the tapping, or I talked about the surgery. Well, we just put on these little pads or you can use a little wand. You can also use the back of the device, and it provides a gentle stimulus. And, most people will feel that, and you only do it about 3 minutes, maybe up to 4 times a day, depending upon what it is that you're really trying to work with. And I'm going to encourage you guys, if you're watching on your phone, screen capture some of these pictures, and we'll do a Q&A also. So write down your questions. And then there's the neurofeedback. So remember earlier I talked about the biofeedback, which is addressing and following how the body is responding to the treatment. Neurofeedback is how the brain is responding. So for those of you that might have been on early, I actually was sitting here, and I was wearing these little guys. Now in the picture, she's wearing a little bit differently, but this will bring you out of that fight or flight mode. There's also settings in there that you can use that for, like if you're studying, or maybe like I had a teen that had very little motivation. So there's a mode on there that you can, it's kind of, they call it the get up, get motivated mode. And it will help somebody that maybe has some depression or just lack of drive to get up and to actually want to get ready to do something. And I first used these the first time. I started developing anxiety over flying. Didn't make any sense to me. I've jumped out of airplanes. But I went 8 years without flying. As a matter of fact, it got so bad that if my husband even talked about flying somewhere, I started having anxiety before anything was even booked. Well, the nurse told me, hey, Yvonne, try, your ear clips on alpha. And it probably took me about 10 or 12 times to do that, but I now fly without, because part of what's happening when you stimulate the vagus nerve, when you're using these alpha waves, it's partly also brain entrainment. So things you should see a change in frequency, duration, or intensity. We did this internal study, and using the gamma, that's that get up and go. It helps with PTSD, depression. And I'm just going to cover this real quickly. The PTSD and the ADHD had a 75%, and we have about 2,000 in our Facebook group, and we're just, people that wanted to be involved. But 75% of those had improvements with their PTSD, ADHD, 80% with depression. Now, this wasn't even on the charts, but their length of sleep increased. And this is hugely important, because if you recognize it's during the night when the body repairs itself, and if you cannot sleep, it's kind of like, you drive on the freeway at night and you see that's when the road construction comes out, because there's a lot less going on. Well, the body's happening the same way. It's not being utilized to function for the day. It's resting. So that's the time for repair. So just the fact that you got some additional sleep will be sorry about that, will be, well, it's just been incredible. And then with anxiety, 95% got relief from anxiety by utilizing this particular protocol. And then scar tissue. If you've got any type of scar tissue, I had C-section. I also had back surgery. I've had my girls worked on a couple different times. They had to be removed because of what was going on. I don't know if I mentioned, but I am a survivor from Camp Lejeune, and my body got wrecked, I'll tell you. But this helps not only flatten scar tissue, but it helps with the pain. And remember, with scar tissue, like I said earlier, with the inflammation, it acts as a block, a barrier. So the electrical coming through does one of two things. It either sits and spins in front of that scar tissue block, or it goes around it. Now, I want you to think about this. If it goes around or sits in front, that electrical carries the body's fluid flow. That's your blood, that's your nutrients and oxygen going to the tissue. It's also your lymphatic. So if those things start to get clogged up, you can have some problems down the road. And then, of course, inflammation, the very thing. This is the silent killer. And, you know, Dr. Keith Mumby, he says, and actually NASA says, they call it a hospital in our hand. That's what NASA says. And, you know, Dr. Keith Mumby in the little testimonial here, but just the amount of, not just headaches, just the amount of change that can happen in our lives. When I started to have my pain reduced, it made such an incredible difference. And I'm just sharing with you, these are ways that we would do this. So here are some of what our clients have experienced. We've got a frozen shoulder and a torn rotator cuff. This was just one treatment. He hadn't been able to raise his shoulder for almost 3 years. And we worked on the area maybe about 3 different times in that session. And we actually, on this one, I believe we might have actually worked on the other side, but at a later point, he just raises his hand completely straight up, like Miss Tammy does right here. She came in for 3 sessions, and she was, you know, told she was going to have a surgery for this torn rotator cuff. We have an fMRSI mode that I use on both of those, and these are being studied at Baylor and Stanford University about increasing oxygen blood flow and oxygenating for peripheral neuropathy specifically. And it's just a great pain relief. This snuffs out pain quickly, especially for the joints, you know, arthritis.
I don't even bother asking for
Justin.
more. I just don't even take any of it. You know?
He
Yeah,
took a
I don't
5-minute
like seeing stuff
challenge.
that way like that.
So what just happened? Your pain
yeah.
was what when you walked out?
I say I walk around at about 6 or 7.
And where is it now?
Right now it's on 2, 1. I mean, really, I don't feel any pain. I don't feel any pain right now.
Yeah, fantastic.
And I'm just going to
Like, I
come
almost
fast
want to go put it
forward.
to the test, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, well, and remember, so
And so this is just a little bit, and I'll probably fast forward how the blood flows in the capillary. Now, remember, we are over 6,000 miles. This is where most of our blood is in those tiny, tiny little vessels. Wow, wow, wow. And imagine being able to do that, you know, up to 300 or 400%. Also, because of what we're doing, many of you probably already know about acupressure points or acupuncture. Well, with this little wand, when you come in, we can also utilize these meridian points to help reduce the pain. And we've got experts that help us learn about this. We even have community days where people can come in, and it's like $20, because what we're trying to do is teach our interns, get our interns some hands-on experience with real clients, real patients. And then we have trigger points. How many of us have had trigger point therapy before, right? Well, we're doing it all under one roof, okay, with one device, the Avasia. And, I'm just really excited that I want you to know about this, and I want you to research it. If you need to, contact me. I'll tell you my contact information. Between me and the company, I'm sure we can find somebody in your area. May not be right in your area. Like, I've had people travel from Arizona to come see me. And here is just that, this is the last one that I want to show you for this moment is when we can change the brain, the thoughts of the brain and the brain waves. This literally is our inner pharmacy. It can help us heal. Our thoughts can either impair our pain, increase our pain, or reduce our pain. Same with sleep. This is Natalie with sciatica.
I'm Natalie. I came in here not able to sit straight down and watch
I just got a correction.
and it didn't pinch.
So this was one of our community days.
Fantastic. And when you came in, was your pain level, was at what number, 10 being the worst?
10 was the worst. I was sitting at an 8 when I walked in here.
And how long have you been dealing with that?
Well, off and on for years, but for 3 weeks solid.
And you tried a number of other things?
I did.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, she was actually limping when she came in. Now, I do have a couple. If some of you are squeamish, I'm so sorry. I should have given you a little warning. We do have a couple that are pretty rough, because this is going to be about, helping with wounds and scars. And this gentleman up in Canada, 20% of his body was burned from an electrical. And you can see that in 16 days. Here's his, day 2, day 6, day 16. And then here's CRPS or RSD. Many, many people are getting relief. RSD just seems to be on the rise. And this is when you have an extremity, a limb that gets, you can just see the difference in the redness, and the pain is they're living in a constant, 8, 9, 10. I've had, this next one is going to be a little gruesome. So if you want to look away, she was told that her leg was to be amputated because for over a year, they could not get it to heal. And as a matter of fact, it was getting worse. It was getting deeper and wider. It took me about 10 weeks. And she was what we call a non-compliant patient, and we were still able to help. And we've helped many, many others, because so much of it's about inflammation and then increasing the blood flow. And what's in the blood? Oxygen and nutrients. They do the actual rebuild. The microcurrent can help repair, but the rebuild comes from the nutrients.
I'm not going up and down
Then
the
you can
spine, I'm
help
going top to bottom,
animals.
like we're doing the 3-6 protocol. So this is a really good calm down one for pets. Just in general.
And you can use it on horses. I don't have any
You can
horse
also use the
wounds.
brush electrode. Oh, I bet. But his hair's kind of thick and he's kind of frisky, so.
We have many people bring in their service dogs.
It feels so good and doesn't know what to do.
And so he came in for cataracts for 3 years. This puppy was not playing ball. And a total of about 10 sessions, but it also improved his hearing. So a wonderful plus. He would not have seen that before. And we are also doing a lung trial. I'm not sure why this is stuck in right here, but I'll do a quick talk about it. You know, because we are able to treat scar and inflammation, make an impact there. During the shutdown, so many people were having health challenges with their lungs. And I, went to the clinic and said, hey, how come nobody's coming here? I mean, we're a small clinic. We don't really know how to advertise, and, we're not marketers. We are practitioners, right? And so, talked about it. So with the doc, we put together this clinical trial. If you know anybody, please capture this picture or call me. We really want to, I believe that we're going to be able to, this little device is going to be much like an inhaler. At some point, it's going to be an at-home device to, your first response for those that are having breathing challenges due to inflammation or chronic breathing issues in the lungs. So far, we have about 60 on the books, and 99% of them have had an increase in their oxygen. And we test in 4 areas before and after, and I'm just really excited about how this is going to turn out. So this is the offer that the company mentioned. If you are interested, I know some of you may not be able to get to us, but this is available to you. You will have to actually come through me, or they, here's my special link, the YDR. And, or if you want to get in our Facebook group and, check it out for a little while and then contact me, as a veteran, I'll get you hopefully the same discount. And it comes with everything in the kit. This literally is, just about everything that we just talked about. And and there you also get this pad. By the way, this is the PEMF pad. I'm actually using one right now. My husband uses it to drive, to keep him awake and alert, because he drives about 1,000 miles a week. I use it when I'm in school, because it helps remember that focus setting that I told you about. Or I've used it for like last night, I was having some anxiety and I did a little vagus nerve stimulation and just put this on my back to just kind of calm down. So this is my contact. If you'd like to reach me, take a picture, or I'm sure Melissa can certainly help you locate me. I'm in the Sacramento area. My website right now, it was supposed to be back up. I had to get a new host or provider. And so I don't even know if it's up as of this morning, but I do have a Facebook. So I'm going to encourage you, go to the Facebook and look around, follow, me, and you'll see what a lot of us are doing together. And, we literally are a community, and my hope in my heart is that you won't stop looking, that you will, have that hope. And if not me, remember, I don't have to be the one, but if I know someone who can help you. And just by working with us, you not only get me, you get all of us. Okay, these are several of the doctors that I work with. We have daily, weekly, and monthly calls, emails, support. It just depends upon what level you want. We've got a social group where people are just letting you know back and forth, hey, I tried this, what about that? And there are practitioners in there. And then we have webinars. We have monthly Q&As. This is Dr. John, Dr. Lori, and Dr. Rob. They're the ones that brought this particular microcurrent. Well, I understand, I think they brought microcurrent itself outside of the Russians to the United States. See, when we stopped looking at the electrical, and but Russia and Germany kept going on. Then you also, if you choose to work with us, you'd get a coordinator that would help you with some treatment plans for you and your family. Like I said, we got 3 different private Facebook groups. It just depends upon the level of engagement that you're interested in. And like I said, we've got the live trainings on weekly and quarterly. And I'm telling you, get in on the quarterly, because for like $20, you get a full treatment. And we also, there's 2 different online training courses. One, if you're really interested in nutrition, and the other one, if you're interested in microcurrent, or like me, I have done both. Several of us have done both, because when we started putting the nutrition with the microcurrent, our nurse at the clinic says, Yvonne, we're getting 40 times better benefits. Because remember, the microcurrent can do the repair, but microcurrent cannot replace missing tissue. That's where the building blocks, the nutrients, the whole food nutrients. And take a look at this. We will have an upcoming course for microcurrent in July and August. This will be online. And I think that might be my last page. So we can go to some Q&A if you would like to. Tell me what I'm supposed to do to get to, do I stop screen share, or what do I do for Q&A?
Yep, just stop screen share.
Okay.
And then if anybody had any questions, if you want to put in the chat or wanted to unmute yourself to ask Yvonne, please do so.
I can see that there are some questions in the chat. It says no volume on that video. Really? Sorry, you guys couldn't hear it?
That was a while ago.
Oh,
My name is Gloria Carlucci. I do have one. I probably have more than one, but the question I'm going to ask you has to do with that kit that you were talking about. You could buy at the discount.
yes.
My biggest problem, I have several other problems, but my biggest problem now is this TBI that I have that's causing a lot of problems with balance and way my head feels and all that. Just don't feel right anymore.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, is that did happen there to help with that, right? If I read everything right.
So yeah, there are modes that can help with TBI, and then there's some very certain protocols that you would use for those. I've worked with a number of stroke victims that is considered a TBI. I've worked with motor vehicle accidents that have had TBI. So you know, we'd have to chat, and I would let you know if you want to take down my information. But at a very minimum, if you've had a TBI, there's likely to be other challenges going on. And so if it's anything musculoskeletal, you know, joint, nerve, yes, there are capabilities. We may need to have you utilize or get, this is prescriptive also. But you know, get a prescription for one if need be. The one that they offered for us to be able to put up, that is a home device. Okay. Did that
So I
answer?
wouldn't have, yeah, I was just gonna say, so I wouldn't have, like, I'm not in the Sacramento area, obviously, so I wouldn't have to go into anybody. I'd be able to just use that at home myself. I guess there'd
Yes.
be some
Oh,
instructions or somebody to
yes.
contact to help you with it.
Yes, and you would get a treatment coordinator, and there's a Facebook group. You would have access. There's private videos that are over, there's over 200 videos in there right now. And, you know, there's between 4 and 6 posted each month. And you, like I said, you'd have the monthly, at a minimum, you would have the weekly and the monthly, webinars that you could ask questions also.
Okay, because if I can get that fixed, I mean, that's my biggest issue right now. I'll just have to contact you offline then.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I screenshotted every slide from the beginning, so I
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. And yeah, so call me, or, you know, and actually you might even see one or two of the stroke victims. We did some live treatment with them at one of our community days. And Eddie, he had a TBI, and I think it was for about 12 years. He said the only thing he wanted to do was to be able to walk with his wife without falling. And because they were no longer taking walks because he was falling so often. And we were able to accomplish that.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
Hi there.
Hi.
So it sounds like you've got a special deal that you'll be able to offer to veterans. Is that what the special offer is?
Yes, yes. And if I need to, I can go back to that page if I can figure it out. But normally if you bought that stuff separately, it's something like whatever was put on there, 2,500 and so, but you get all of it for 19, well, right at $2,000. I think the shipping they said was like $30.
Yeah, that's a really good deal. And that device is so easy to use. It has what you need to do 90% of what people need. Yeah, that's a great device. It's awesome.
What do you like about the device?
I like that it's very simple. So the professional, I have both. The professional one is complicated for people to use. That one is really simple, and the things that you need the most often are really easy to spot and to find and to use. And that's the packages they put together. That's an amazing package because it's really got all the things
Yeah.
that you really need to be treating yourself regularly at home. So I think that's really awesome.
And so have you found for you and your family and your clients pain relief?
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, we go to it on a regular basis. So whenever there's anything that's hurting, and I'm trying to train my daughter that, you know, when there's and my daughter, the granddaughter got her finger smashed in the door, you know, this morning, and it's like I've gotten used to it now where that's my first go-to. It's like, okay, here, grandpa, hold her for a few minutes, hold this on her for a few minutes, and she was fine. And, you know, it may have cleared up, you know, somewhat fairly quickly because it wasn't a horrible thing, but I know from experience that anytime the microcurrent applied, things just heal faster and get better quicker.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I do see one other question asking, is there any way to get it through the VA? At this time, no. The VA does have a microcurrent. And so, you know, you can certainly go in and, but I'm going to encourage you, go in and say, hey, let's get this microcurrent, you know, here. The one that they're using mostly is called an H-wave. And if you have some musculoskeletal pain, you can use it for that, and it will help with that. But because it's on a different waveform, Gloria, you cannot use it on the brain. All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? Well, I just want to say thank you very much for letting me, you know, please share this. If you know somebody that is in the community, again, we can find a practitioner in your area that can help. But I want you to know the biggest thing, this is, you know, I've heard from people that knew about microcurrent, but they only, again, knew it for muscle skeletal. There's so much more to offer, and you know, we're creating this community so that we can help, you know, more of us in more ways. And Melissa, thank you so very much for allowing me to come on and share with my fellow vets.
No, thank you. I will be in touch. There's a couple things that, yes, I would like to discuss with you further. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you again. And again, like I mentioned, this will be the link will be available on YouTube once we get uploaded. And Yvonne, thank you again. Very informative. This information needs to get out to more people.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it literally changed my life, because when you are now able to do some things again, and now it's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.